Good evening from inside the Anaheim Convention Center with a two-time Olympic team captain and referee, Jeff Buchanan. I am J.B. Long, and this Foil Grand Prix is one of the major events on the world circuit for international fencing.
And the same as golf and tennis has their majors, this is a major, a Grand Prix. What makes it special, it has 1.5 times the normal amount of points. The fencers are very amped up. They want to earn those points.
Jeff, this is our own version of March Madness. At the beginning of the day, 64 men and 64 women filled out the bracket. What's left, just the semifinalists, and we're fortunate to have two of the best Americans in Race Imboden and Lee Kiefer.
Race Imboden, it seems like he's been around forever. He's only 24. He's a classical fencer. And I spoke with his coach, Sergei Golubitsky, who said that Race started very slow today, and then he found the zone. And if he stays in the zone in his match against Damiano Rosatelli, I expect to see him in the gold medal bout.
And on the women's side, Kiefer is a former world #1.
Lee Kiefer is amazing. She graduated from Notre Dame. She's now in medical school at the University of Kentucky, and she's back with her original coach, Amgad Kazbak, but she is up against a freight train in Irina Dereglazova, who has won the last 2 world championships and the Olympic Games.
As for more on why this event is so special, here is Harry Chickman with the president of U.S. Fencing, Don Anthony.
Area to your left.
Well, Don, what an amazing event here at the Anaheim Convention Center. The best fencers in the world. You helped to make it possible. What are your thoughts on this event being here?
Well, I do a small role. I have a great team, and they really make it happen. These are the best fencers in the world. This is a very important event. It's one of the Grand Prix series, 9 events, or 9 cities, 1 series. And we've got a really good show this year. We got a nice final, and we're going to have a great show tonight.
And a lot of excitement with USA Fencing events coming here, juniors, also the top fencers. So what's coming up for the Federation?
So in 2020, we just won the bid to host the Junior World Championships. That'll be in Salt Lake City, Utah. Hopefully everybody will come out. And that's an important event because that's our base, and that's how we're building our sport. It's also a pre-Olympic event. So we'll be doing that in February, and the games will be that summer.
And to see the hard work pay off here and see the great fencers, a lot of Americans competing as well, what does that mean to you in USA Fencing?
Well, this is really important because we had 11 of our male fencers in that second day of the 64. That just shows how strong our fencing team is becoming. And this is really important because if it wasn't at home, they wouldn't have that opportunity. And that's the guys who are getting ready to come up. Now, we have a great team now. We have the #1 team in the world. They've won the last 4 events, but then we're going to have to replenish them with that next group of juniors.
Well, USA Fencing alive and well. Thanks to the president, Don Anthony. Great event and congratulations.
Thank you for all your work and thanks for doing it again.
Pleasure being here. Great event here at the Anaheim Convention Center.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Harry. And they have opened the doors for our semifinals here at the Anaheim Convention Center. Some of the best in the world. The men's and women's medal round is upcoming from Anaheim. Welcome to the women's semifinal FIE Grand Prix Anaheim. Dereglazova with the distance control there.
Well, I would say that on the next action, Kiefer's going forward, not backwards, because she ceded ground a little bit too easily there and gave Dereglazova the chance to score in the attack.
It's easier said than done, Jeff, with Dereglazova. I mean, she's #1 for a reason, and she can go off the line strong. So Lee has to stand her ground. As I said, even if Dereglazova comes forward, Lee can stand her ground.
No ruling yet. They will go straight to the monitor here with the red and the green lights both on.
Well, that's pretty close. You can make an argument that they both went at pretty much the same time from that angle.
Might they throw it out almost like a saber, Frogs?
They might, but this referee gave the call to Kiefer.
Which the Russian reaction?
He was very pleased, was the Russian coach on that call.
Interesting. I don't think Kiefer's fenced her best yet by any stretch of the imagination, and yet here she is tied at 8.
Like someone who's also graduated from Notre Dame University, I think that Lee is very good at standing her ground. Like I said, when Dereglazova comes forward, Lee has to stand there and make sure that she doesn't give too much ground.
That was a delicate hit by the Russian. Kiefer takes it right back.
Wow, a spectacular touch by Kiefer.
indicative of the resilience of Lee that you alluded to earlier, right? Right back on guard. Just couldn't finish there. I think she had the right of way, but Dereglazova scores.
Sometimes Lee will take these big steps. She'll feel comfortable coming forward, and then she'll take a big step. But Ina Dereglazova is so experienced, she can feel that right away and be right on top of that and time you out.
You mentioned the aggression of both of these fencers. How about 20 combined touches still with 20 seconds to go in the first period?
Wow. There, Kiefer was able to avoid Dereglazova's attack, made a counterattack by angling her body, causing Dereglazova to miss.
Kiefer signals she's done with this first period. Dereglazova agrees. It's a race to 5 in our second period.
I hear Garrick Meinhardt giving some advice to Lee Kiefer in the stands. He's here, a fence today, lost in the 64, and he's watching Lee, and he's often by Lee's side giving her advice at these tournaments.
It's nice of Lee to carve out some time for world-class fencing when she's not going to medical school in Kentucky, training to be a doctor, and in the very near future planning a wedding as well.
Wow, and there's her coach, Amgar Kazbak. And after 4 years away at Notre Dame, she came back, and Kazbak says nothing really changed in her skill level. What really changed was the level of experience. She came back a much more experienced fencer.
Interesting. It was in this same area, this same region, that these two met in last year's Grand Prix in Long Beach, and it went to Kiefer 15-9, and on the strength of that, she ascended to #1 in the world, became the first female U.S. foilist to stand atop the FIE rankings. Now she's looking to take that mantle back from the current Olympic champion, really the 3-time reigning world champion, Ina Dereglazova.
Iris, Kiefer does not show much emotion on the strip. She seems almost stoic and stone-faced. Do you notice that?
I do, and so does Ina Dereglazova. They both are like that. But when you're a top-level fencer, you know how to control those emotions.
But some people like to show emotions. It just seems like Kiefer sort of keeps them in. She stays very steady for the whole bout.
Yeah, I have coached her before, and she's very, very steady.
Almost a pool bout now, coming out of the break with 5 touches required, and that's a big first hit for Kiefer.
Kiefer stepped in on Dereglazova's first step when she was vulnerable and scored.
Dereglazova is much more hesitant on her attack. If you can watch her, she's not as strong right off the line.
She does, even the score at 11.
You fight very hard in these bouts, and there Kiefer just made a counterattack. She really wasn't prepared for that action.
Kiefer takes the lead.
Kiefer pushed Dereglazova back to her side of the strip and then drew out Dereglazova's attack and was waiting with a parry riposte. Here's the parry, and there's the riposte. Great touch by Kiefer.
Lee's definitely a fencer that gets better as the bout progresses.
So she has 2 of the 3 touches since the stoppage. Back on guard. Off target from the right, no touch.
There, Dereglazova straightening the blade. You want to have it feel just right. You're allowed to have 1 centimeter of bend. The blade can bend up or down by 1 centimeter, not more. If it's too much bend, there's probably a little bit of an advantage, and the referee would make them straighten it.
From the rights, the Russian.
Kiefer knows it, didn't challenge it.
The tension mounting here in Anaheim. Kiefer had it, she just could not put her light on. Dereglazova slipping.
Kiefer has counterattacked on 2 of the last 3 touches that Dereglazova hit her. She has to be careful not to do that again.
Off target from the left. No score for Dereglazova. She's looking to her corner.
She's trying to ask her coach whether or not she should ask for a video review.
But here's Kiefer on the left. Watch this. It's her attack. She started first, determined by the point threatening the Dereglazova's target.
He has to watch her first step, not making it too big. Short steps forward to press.
Beat
Off
attack
target from the left.
And the reason it's Kiefer's attack is she beat the blade of Dereglazova, gave her the right of way. And again, Kiefer just made a counterattack in the middle of the strip. She was very lucky that Dereglazova hit off target, the white light.
Dereglazova again wants time to finagle her weapon.
Here's Dereglazova on the right, starting the attack, and Kiefer just counterattacking. It's a very dangerous action, and it's not working for her. And at 12-12, I don't look for her to do that again.
A women's semifinal in this Anaheim Grand Prix, worthy of a gold medal bout at the Olympics. No touch. Kiefer running out of room.
Jeff, do you find that Dereglazova is a little bit more hesitant on those attacks? In the beginning, there's like a flurry of attacks in the first round, and now it's the
Almost second
tempo's down.
intention. Yeah, a little bit. Kiefer's in trouble right now, Iris. She's going to have to take an action with the blade, I believe, in order to get the right of way.
Or she can just start.
Almost like a saber engagement there.
Referee says they both attacked at the same time, so there's no right of way, there's no touch.
Kiefer back into a corner, trying to fight her way out. Dereglazova gets the score and takes the lead at 13-12. First to 15, advances to the final.
Kiefer was in trouble there the whole way. Once she ceded ground and was pushed to the back of her strip, she really ran out of options and it was at a severe disadvantage. Look for her to go forward if she can. But Dereglazova is like a freight train, as you said, Iris. She comes off the mark very quickly when the referee says fence.
It's interesting, Dereglazova is taking a different approach. She's not just marching forward and hitting, she's finding a time and making that nice, clean one action.
She did right there, straight attack.
Kiefer stays alive with a 13th hit.
I never discount Lee in this moment. She's been known to make these giant comebacks.
Here's Kiefer on the left. Look for her to take the blade and make the attack. She's jumping. She sees an opening and hits on a straight attack. Here she comes.
It's amazing to see in slow-mo that both feet are off the ground at some point.
Incredible. What a touch by Kiefer. Very aggressive. 2 attacks in a row. So now who's going to blink first? She scored twice in the attack. Deroglazova's not going to go backwards here. She's going to go for the attack.
I think you're going to see that. They're both going to be fast off that line. Who's going to be first off that line?
Labelle, the next touch wins. That makes it easy. Deroglazowa with a single lights, and the top-rated fencer in the world will be in the final tonight. Kiefer has conceded.
They both came forward first, but Lee took one extra step.
And Deroglazowa went straight.
Deroglazowa went straight.
And we are now set for our men's and women's finals from the FIE Grand Prix in Anaheim. Glad you're with us in Southern California. We'll see if Race Imboden can claim gold when we come back. Welcome back to the Anaheim Convention Center here in Southern California with Jeff Buchanan, a 2-time Olympic team captain and Olympic referee, and Iris Zimmerman, a member of the 2000 Olympic team in foil. I'm JB Long. Andrea Cassara of Italy, the seasoned veteran, pursues his 12th Grand Prix gold medal tonight. He defeated Nicholas Edward Choi in his semifinal, and he will face an American in the final men's bout of the weekend, Race Imboden, currently top 6 in the world, the 24-year-old lefty who trains here in Southern California, has had the benefit of the home crowd, and we've seen some of his career best.
He switched to Sergei Golubitsky here in LA from a coach in New York City, and you know, when I talked to Race, he said, I'm just getting into my stride with him. At the first year, the last season, after the Olympics, we were hard, kind of coming back and changing my style a little bit, but now I'm getting into a groove.
This is the Anaheim Grand Prix, the second of 3 foil Grand Prix this season. The first was in Torino, an American won there, Macialis. The third will be upcoming in Shanghai in May. First of 15 will stand atop the podium tonight.
Cassara there like a steamroller out of the gate. Looks like he has a battle plan to push Imboden.
Imboden scores first.
The Italian style is to push, methodically push forward, find the distance, make your attack.
Pair post scores before the halt. Race Imboden, 2-0.
What a touch by Imboden there. What a beautiful infighting parry and riposte. Watch here, picks up the blade, parry, and riposte before they reversed on the strip. It was very close.
It's interesting because Cassara's picking up the pace a lot faster than his semifinal match with Choi. And I'm wondering with Race, that was the plan. Let me come forward a little bit faster to push Race.
It's simply amazing the way these fencers can wield their weapons from such close distance like that, as Imboden did on that touch.
Imboden scores again. He's got the first 3.
Please go to the call room.
Look at the positioning on the strip and how different it is in this matchup of lefties. The angles they create.
What happened there is Cassara retreated off the side of the strip, and the only penalty for that, he has to go back 1 meter.
He scores.
Cassara questioned the referee.
What What a build by Rayson Bowden, and able to finish for a 4-1 advantage.
Race has been able to show that he can deal with anything on the strip. I can push you forward, or I can be back at my end, and he's been pretty dominant today all over the fencing strip.
Well, that touch was almost too easy for him. Bowden there, he just pushed Cassara, saw an opening, made a straight attack.
A touch is awarded to Rayson Bowden, and already the Italians signaling that they want a replay challenge.
Cassara thinks that Bowden stopped, and then Cassara then started his attack.
Here's the action. Cassara actually, from that truncated replay, it almost looked like it was Cassara. Let's watch. Nope, because it looked like Cassara made an action. We're looking for Bowden's blade, which gave Bowden the right of way, and the referee says it's in Bowden's touch.
So Cassara loses his first of 2 incorrect challenges. Exchanging parries, but off target again there.
Cassara must be a little frustrated here.
Parry scores, and Rayson Bowden is riding this home crowd to a 6-1 lead.
Cassara on the attacks, parried. Parried a second time, and the riposte as Cassara tried to shrink into a little box there. Parry by Bowden. Cassara covering target, and then Bowden still sees the opening and scores. And it is a penalty for a fencer to use the back arm in front of the valid target, but the referee didn't call that.
Jeff, typically you get a warning.
You get a yellow card for the first infraction.
And if it were to happen a second time,
then it's a red card, which is a point for the opponent.
It's still Andre Cassara's parry riposte.
Therefore, no touch awarded. 2 minutes to go in a fast-moving first. Cassara needed that.
But Bowden a little cavalier with the attack there. Really didn't set it up so well. Cassara was waiting for the parry and the riposte.
Asking Bowden to reconnect his mass cord there, which he does. Cassara misses.
Sometimes when a fencer can find the target or find the distance, they can change the whole bout around.
Simultaneous action there. Just like in Sabre, they'll just toss it out.
Here's the action pretty much at the same time. The referee said it's simultaneous, no touch. And Iris, when you're in a bout and you find that little difference in timing, how do you exploit your opponent?
Well, I think that you can look at and see, what am I going to change? Am I going to get a little further away? Am I going to get closer? Am I going to go faster or slower? And for me, Cassara I'm looking at his tempo. He's just fast, fast, fast. And in his bout with Choi, he was a little bit slower. So I'm wondering if he could just slow it down a little bit in the beginning. He could hide his attack a little bit more.
Cassara's been pushing the attack a few times off target. You only get a few opportunities. You want to get the colored light on and get the good touch.
Initially awarded to Rayson Bowden. They will take another look.
Well, it's very close, and the referee says that Cassara was preparing. His arm was not yet moving forward. It's really close. Let's see what the referee says.
If the Italian is not rewarded here, he would have spent both of his incorrect challenges early in this bout. And that's exactly the case. And Rayson Bowden just reminding everyone exactly what I just described. How much of a disadvantage is that to not have a replay challenge at your disposal?
It's huge because it's early in the bout. There's going to be 1 or 2 or 3 more times when you need that challenge, and you don't have it anymore. It's really a problem when you burn those challenges so early in a bout. You really have to pick your spot.
It's a good response from the Italian. Of blades and of control there winds up in the hands of the American.
That's the most spectacular touch of the bout so far. Imboden attacks parried. Casares counter parried, and as he goes down, the riposte by Imboden. Beautiful touch. Here's the counter parry. Right now, he picks it up, does Imboden, sees the opening. Casares tries to run away, but there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
And it almost looks like Casares hit, but it didn't. It went right off that lame.
There's a certain amount of pressure required to put a light on, be it on target or off. And Imboden fulfills that requirement and has his knife.
Well, that's got to be a demoralizing touch for Casares. He came in with a big beat attack, and Imboden saying, I'm waiting with a parry and riposte. Too easy for him.
From the left, off target, no touch for Casares, and here's the first instance where he might have put an extra challenge to use. He does not have one at his discretion.
He keeps trying to challenge that action, and at this point, his coach should say, you know, just go back to it. Don't worry about it right now. Go back to what you need to be doing here on the strip.
Casares far too seasoned to give in to Race Imboden, 10 years, the elder.
Imboden ceded ground too easily there. He retreated. I look for him to go forward, and I look for Casares to be looking for Imboden to go forward, maybe waiting with a parry riposte. Let's see.
Nothing a little saliva can't fix. Race is ready.
It's high tech, JB. So there I'm seeing Casares starting off a little bit slower and changing up the time of his attack here, right? So his arm is coming out earlier to the target instead of waiting so long and rushing over to what Race. If he's able to get that attack, it could turn the bout around.
And so far, the last 3 or 4 actions, Casares has been attacking. Imboden has been retreating. And I think it's time for Imboden to maybe change it up a little bit.
He is. He's changing his weapon. He sensed a little bit of a gremlin in that particular one, and he asked Casares to test it. And when the white light came on, he said, that's enough.
It's the same as a tennis player. When you see they change rackets, they always have 3 or 4 of them. One feels better than the other. It's the same with your in the bag. You look into your fence and nope, that one doesn't feel right. You want to feel just right because, Iris, you have to feel the point.
Yeah, I also think it buys him some time to think and to break some momentum here.
Of course, in tennis, you break a string. On occasion, we haven't seen it yet tonight, these fencers will break the blade.
So Race made a gesture because he was trying to say, you know, Casares is turning his shoulder or putting his arm in front of his target.
Well,
covering.
Covering, thank you.
He can challenge that, and Imboden can challenge that. If you're sure of it, challenge it. That's one of the things you can challenge.
And if it gets severe, Jeff, occasionally they'll even bring in hand judges to work the corners.
Yes.
Imboden thinks he got in quickly. No decision yet. He's hoping for his 10th.
As the referee, I'd also stop and look at the video.
This is a close one. What's hard to see here? Well, Imboden hopped forward sort of once and then came a second time. The question is, was it continuous from the left?
It looks like...
And it was.
It was, because Casares took one extra step, and Race was to the target a little sooner.
Before the halts, which never arrived, Imboden takes his 11th.
And the reason there was no hold, because the fencers hadn't switched position on the strip. Bowden scored before they reversed their position.
He's on a roll. Race and Bowden might be unstoppable this weekend.
What a touch by Bowden, a simple parry or post, almost like he's seeing Cassara coming in slow motion. It's almost too easy for him. Watch Cassara on the right. He starts the attack. Bowden, oh, look at that parry and riposte.
Iris, at one point tonight you described being in the zone as a foilist. I think Race is personifying that right now in the gold medal match. Cassara stops his progress.
Bowden rushed that attack a little bit. He really didn't set it up.
2 in a row for the Italian.
Okay, now it's
This
time.
is a little bit like the last one where Race is at 13 and he starts to think about the nice touches he can make.
That's the same thing that happened at 13, Lisbeth. You're right.
But being in the zone, you know, you feel like you can hit anywhere at any time, and you almost like fence not for the podium, but you fence because you're enjoying what you're doing at the moment.
Bit of a charge here from the Italian. When does Bowden start to feel the pressure?
Last time I think it was at 10 or 11, so we'll see if it's a little bit sooner in this match.
One more touch and he'll be feeling it.
Lost just a bit of point control. It's been a while since he put his light on. He's got it there, but they score with Cassara, and now it's Bowden's turn to challenge. They send the referee to the replay monitor.
It's very close, and when you look at it in slow motion, it's very close. Watch Cassara on the right, because the referee gave him the touch, saying that he started. And the definition of started was that his point was threatening Bowden's target first.
Did you see anything there to overturn?
It's going to be tough to overturn. They might just, they're spending a lot of time, and sometimes when they do that, they just say it's no touch. They might just say that both start at the same time. And here they come.
As you take one more look, they're going to uphold this call. And so Cassara has his 9th. Cassara lost his footing but wins the Frogs.
Isn't it amazing, Iris? Bowden is controlling this bout the whole way through. He gets to 13, and all of a sudden the momentum has changed, and it's changed pretty drastically right now.
Right. It can still be, you know, it's so close. I want to make a nice touch and keep it going, so you're aware that you're really close. Some people do break at that point, thinking, I'm so close, and instead of thinking how he has been in the zone, enjoying the moment, one touch at a time.
Halts.
You can even see his body language, Bowden's body language. Same as last bat. It's sort of like
changed.
More relaxed.
It melts a little bit, like I said, not as confident as I was a few minutes ago.
He came back at 10 with the other one, so around 10 or 11. So this might be it.
Perhaps that's where Race and Bowden says enough.
That was
is
a little
enough.
lucky right there.
He was lucky. Cassara missed on the counter or post, and Bowden just scored in a remise.
Sometimes you need a little luck to win a Grand Prix.
Maybe he can excel and get the final winner. The Italian is adamant. He does not have a replay challenge here, however.
And that hand motion he's making, that chopping motion, means that Bowden stopped, and then Cassara took over. But let's see what the referee says.
And Bowden listening to his opponent plead his case. They're going to throw it out. I like that. That's not how this bout was supposed to end.
Right.
And generally the fencers like that too.
It's hard, you know, there's all this momentum, then you stop, look at the video, and usually when we didn't have the video, you just have this big celebration.
Parry. No. Off targets.
And Bowden missed on the riposte. Cassara scored on the remise.
That one belongs to
that is a way
Imboden. A
to
Perry
end.
riposte to finish.
That's the way to win a Grand Prix right there. That was beautiful.
Oh, it is what a beautiful touch. He points to his name as if we didn't already know.
You know, when I talked to Race, he's like, and I said, are you looking forward to 2020 in Tokyo? And he goes, look, Iris, I'm not looking at Tokyo 2020. I'm looking to be the best in the world over a long period of time. I want to be dominant as the best fencer in the world.
Now, that being said, Jeff, it comes at an interesting time, roughly the midway point of the quad. And he may not be thinking of the next Olympics, but we certainly are looking at him as someone who could emerge as a favorite between now and then.
No question about it. He's a very good fencer, very creative. He's getting into his groove with his coach of 2 years, Sergei Golubitsky. He's feeling very confident. And he scored on a beautiful parry riposte there.
He just won his first Grand Prix gold today. And someone who fenced him when he was 10, who's kind of a chubby little kid, and just to see him on the strip and be so elegant on the strip, making those touches, I'm a little proud.
Well, we follow this sports and this circuit year-round and around the globe, and there's no question that foil is the strength of the American program. Since this Grand Prix is being hosted in California, it is nice to see that strength shine in the presence of Race Imboden and Lee Kiefer, who was eliminated in the women's semifinal here in Anaheim. One more bout to fence, one more gold medal to hand out. Race Imboden will stand atop the podium tonight. The women's championship round upcoming.
Women individual foil representing.
Well, interesting that we get Ina Derglazova, the world #1, and Ann Sauer of Germany, number 15. Both won 15-14 semifinal bouts. We could just as easily be talking about Leonie Eberts and Lee Kiefer. That's how narrow these semifinals were, but it should make for a tremendous final.
Ina Derglazova is a clear favorite here. She's a reigning world champion. She's the reigning 2016 Olympic champion. She just won the Torino Grand Prix this year. So, you know, if you are going to make any bets today, she's definitely the person you'd put money on.
Jeff, we fence 3 Grand Prix per season. How impressive is it to take the first 2 if that's what Derglazova does here?
She's clearly the best in the field. When we look at the men's foil field, there's a lot of good fencers. We had 5 different winners of the first 5 World Cups. But clearly in the women's foil field, Derglazova is the head of the class right now.
Tonight will be her 9th Grand Prix medal of her career. Will it be gold or silver? First to 15 with Ann Sauer of Germany. They both fall short. Sauer scores first.
Usually Ina Derglazova will be first off the line and pushing, and I wonder if Ann Sauer knows that enough and she wants to push first and get into distance right off the line.
So when you say, Iris, off the line, do you mean when the referee says on guard ready, the minute the referee says fence at that moment?
Yes, the on guard line, right off the on guard line, right after ready fence.
That was ruled simultaneous. No touch given. Derglazova on the board.
With a beautiful parry and a riposte. Here's the attack from Sauer. On the left, parry and riposte.
Another single light for the Russian. Derglazova scores again.
Well, that was too easy, wouldn't you say, Iris?
I think Ann was caught in, Ann Sauer was caught in the middle of trying to figure out what to do.
That's for
And she
sure.
didn't move her feet at all.
Right,
so
she was flat-footed. Here's a beat and attack from the right by Derglazova.
With Glazova, you got to make up your mind right at the on guard and be ready at fence.
What a run for Ina Glazova. 4 straight.
She must be so confident in her game right now.
Glazova is definitely confident. I think I've been in a position before, you know, working up the rankings, and now I find myself, oh, I'm in the final match. I think sometimes when you're young and inexperienced, you find yourself in the final match and you're almost looking at yourself thinking, what am I doing here? What's going on? And I feel like she's not ready with a plan.
Attack is parried and riposted by Glazova on the right. Attack no by Sauer. She missed. Look at her body language. She's down. Glazova with a counterattack. She scored twice in that action already. She scored in a parry riposte. She scored in a straight attack. So basically, she's hitting her at will right now.
Well done by Sauer not to quit. It felt like halt was coming, but she persisted.
Parry, riposte misses. That missed, and that hit. Iris, you notice that Sauer stands up when she makes a parry. She stands up. When you stay down and you're on guard position, you control your balance and you control your blade. When you stand up, you sometimes lose control.
She's standing up because they're a little bit closer, and she has to get an angle on her. Sauer has to get an angle on Glazova.
With effectively 3 straight world championships to her credit, how close is Glazova to being considered one of the all-time greats?
Well, that's difficult because you have Valentina Vizzali, who was dominant for so long, and I mean,
the brilliant Italian.
Right, the great Italian fencer, and she's definitely, you know, Glazova is young enough where maybe that could happen for her in her career.
Is the sport deeper? Is the competition more balanced than it was when Valentina was going at her best?
No, I think, you know, I think it's just about the same depth. I would almost argue there's a little bit more because when Valentina Vizzali first started, like Jeff was saying, there was only a couple dominant countries. Now, you know, getting double points in those zonal competitions have really mixed up the top 16. So there's more, there are more fencers out there doing well, getting some more experience being in the top 16. So maybe arguably it's a little more difficult for Glazova.
More to come from the women's final after this. Welcome to the women's final of the FIE Grand Prix of Anaheim. The American presence of Kiefer and Ross, whom we've seen here in Anaheim, the Asian nations emerging as power brokers in this sport.
I do have to give a small shout out to Glazova because I did find out that she is a mom. So being a mom myself and seeing her being able to be a mom and a professional athlete is a pretty amazing thing.
Many of the female legends in this sport have taken maternity leaves and returned.
Attack from the right, Glazova again, straight attack. And just to correct something from earlier, JB, there are arm judges here in all the bouts. They have arm judges in the finals. They are here.
To keep an eye out for covering.
For covering.
We've hinted at a couple of times.
And not just covering with the arm, sometimes covering with the head. If you duck down and put your mask in front of what would have been your valid target, that's the same as putting your arm in front.
I don't know if you saw that, but Ann Sauer's kind of struggling with that mass cord, and she's a little bit frustrated. So to use your word, Jeff, that you use, I would definitely call Ann Sauer frustrated. Like I said, when you're young and you've just made a Grand Prix final, you know, you're almost unprepared for it.
The riposte off target denies the red line of Ann Sauer. No score. We described the first semifinal between Dereglazova and Kiefer as the de facto championship bout, and so far that has played out.
She's just Dereglazova is very hard to get inside her distance. If you had to say why is she the best in the world, what's the one reason for that, Iris?
Well, you know, you talked about getting into her distance, but she has such command and control of her footwork that she can make the distance she needs every single time. And one of the things that my old coach, I was talking to him, and I said, you know, what makes her good? Dereglazova also can take away people's strengths. If Ann Sauer wants to make attack, if she wants a closer distance, you know, Dereglazova can deal with that.
Well, I remember Vizali, the greatest fencer of all time, certainly in women's foil. Her distance was impeccable. Almost like a crab, she'd go up and down the strip inch by inch.
Yeah.
She couldn't get in. So would you say Dereglazova, her control of the distance is the strongest part?
I think she's so solid with her footwork that she is able to use it to her advantage in this bout and being so dominant. That is her strong suit, is being able to be so athletic and so on her feet. And just, you know, Valentina Vizali was very good, and we used to say she's got like impeccable timing, almost like, you know, God-given timing. And I think that Dereglazova is so well trained that she just feels things, you know, in something that I have to be conscious about. She just feels it. When that moment comes, she's right on top of it.
It just seems like some fencers have certain spectacular things about their game, their attack, their riposte, their handwork, their footwork. It seems to me Dereglazova's footwork really is what separates her from the rest. She's always in balance. She always keeps great distance.
What you won't see a lot from her, though, are long attacks. You know, Dereglazova won't make a lot of long attacks, but Ann Sauer also likes to fence really close. So it actually works out to Dereglazova's advantage that Ann Sauer wants to fence a little bit closer. That was nice, carrier post. She's hitting on her side of the strip and hitting on Ann Sauer's side of the strip, so it's going to be hard for Ann Sauer to think of something to do against her.
There again, Sauer made the parry and the riposte. She stood up out of the watch. She stands up here, and yes, sometimes you're looking for the angle, but in my opinion, when you stand up, you also lose a lot of your ability to control your point.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful angle from our cameras. We've been treated to super slow motion coverage of this Anaheim Grand Prix. Hopefully that assists everyone in appreciating this sport. This has become surgical in the women's final.
Sauer has to push a little bit. Push Dereglazova. Take the blade. Break the tempo a little.
It looks like she's not thinking of that, Jeff. She's just getting frustrated in this final match, thinking, I am so far behind. You know, I made it this far. I'm so far behind.
A taco fair. She takes the blade and puts her point on.
Well, another day at the office for the best women's foil fencer currently on the scene, Ina Dereglazova.
See if she can finish it in the first period. She does. The final touch of the weekend here in Anaheim belongs to the #1 women's foilist in the world. Ina Dereglazova of Russia dominates the final.
Simple, clean actions. You know, you got a smile from her. While she's fencing, you're not getting any smiles or anything. But here, at the end,
so Dereglazova will be atop the podium. Sauer settles for silver, building on her bronze performance at the World Cup in January. Lee Kiefer and Leonie Ebert of Germany share the bronze. So 2 American medals here in Anaheim, in addition to the gold on the men's side. Grayson Bowden fencing well in his home territory. And bravo Kiefer, we wish her continued success on and off the piste as she pursues medical school in Kentucky. 15-3, our women's final. Ina Glazova is the gold medalist. All right, let's get some final thoughts from the weekend that was. Iris, we'll start with you.
Yeah, Ina Glazova, the only person she really had any trouble, we talked about teammates, was Ivanova. She fenced her in the earlier rounds, and that was the closest match, almost losing to that. Lee Kiefer was very strong throughout. And Ann Sauer and Leonie Ebert were surprises for me. I wouldn't have picked them out of the matches to make the top 4, but they were there. And Leonie Ebert, we're going to see her. She's 18 years old. We're going to see her from now and a couple more Grand Prix from now.
And Jeff, if you can go back to Grayson Bowden and put his triumph in context for what it means for him personally and for American men's foil.
American men's foil, we've had 4 fencers. The Americans have had 4 fencers ranked #1 in the world, including in Bowden. And he's came into this rank 6, but he was far and away the best fencer in the field today.
All right, so 2 medals here in Anaheim at the Convention Center in this FIE Grand Prix. Next up for foil, a stop in Shanghai in May. And then we'll see these phenomenal athletes again at the World Championships this summer in China. Congratulations to Ina Glazova, who celebrates another Grand Prix gold. Jeff, Iris, thank you very much. That was very fun. I look forward to doing it again down the road. And for Iris Zimmerman and Jeff Buchanz, I'm JB Long. That will conclude our coverage of the Grand Prix of Anaheim. Our champions, Race and Bowden on the men's side, Ina Glazova, the top-ranked female in the world. Thank you for being with us for this FIE Grand Prix coverage, part of the 9-City 1 Series Tour.